All aboard at the Hyperfixation Station. My name is Quinlan, and I had an idea for Oscar's semblance that I don't know if it has any validity or likelihood, but I like the idea, so I felt like sharing it just in case that we find out. Actually, no, if this was the semblance, we would not be finding out until Volume 9, but I want to share it anyway. So I've had two main theories about like the type of semblance that Oscar could have. One of them is light related because he is consistently framed with the sunrise or the sunset, or is referenced as the sun in a lot of songs and things like that. So I thought it could be cool if he had some sort of like photokinesis or something of the sort where he can like control light. Plus then we could make fun of him for being photosynthesis, that's because he's a farmer. But the other one has been that it's dream related, because the very first time that we see Oscar, he's waking up from a nightmare in Volume 4 after we see the scene with Salem. And I don't think that that was his semblance. I don't think Oscar has unlocked his semblance yet, but I liked the idea that that was foreshadowing or some sort of thematic connection to dreams, especially now that we've seen with Chapter 9 of Volume 8 with him talking about the girl who fell through the world and all these adventures that he used to dream of, plus the fact that his allusions with an A, are primarily to partially to Dorothy, partially to the Little Prince, and partially to Princess Ozma. Specifically Tip, who was, when Princess Ozma was turned into a farm boy for a while. And Dorothy and the Little Prince have a lot to do with dreams, like, you know, like Dorothy dreams and wakes up in another world and all this other stuff and has to find the way back home through Oz. So just for fun, I had the idea of a scenario where Oscar's semblance actually is related to dreams. So just come on this journey with me for a moment. So this is presuming that all of Team RWBY and whomever else doesn't make it to Vacuo, whoever else falls into the pit, which a lot of us, seemingly the majority of the fandom, kind of agrees that that is falling into another world, which is referencing the girl who fell through the world, and that Volume 9, which RWBY said was going to be a very different flavor that was planned before Volume 1, could be like a Wonderland arc, like they're in some sort of new strange world and they have to figure out how to get out of it and back to Remnant. So I'm going to be operating under the assumption that that happens. So what this would mean is that I would say one more person makes it through to Vacuo, potentially maybe Penny, but I feel like I could see her staying, maybe Jaune, whoever makes it, would have to be the bearer of bad news and tell Ren, Oscar, and Emerald that the rest of them fell into the pit and are dead. So I like to imagine that the grief of losing all of them would unlock Oscar's semblance, the missing them, because so much of his storyline is about friendship and found family, and so the grief of losing them might be a lot to bear, and it might be enough to unlock his semblance. So just imagine with me. Imagine he falls asleep one night, and he visits one of the people who fell into the other world. He can't talk to them, he can't quite reach them yet, but he can see them, and they can see him. He tries to get closer to them, but wakes up before he can. The person that he visited, let's be honest, it would most likely be RWBY. So let's just say that it's RWBY for the sake of this, but it really could be anyone who fell. So let's say that afterwards RWBY wakes up all confused, and someone asks, "You okay?" "Sorry, just had a weird dream." "Nightmare?" "No, it just felt odd." But neither Oscar nor the other person knows that their dream visits are real. So as Oscar gets better at it and as the dreams go on, they're able to sort of communicate, but it takes a lot of energy out of Oscar to do so. He wakes up every morning exhausted and drained. He just thinks that he's dreaming of the friends that he'd lost every night, loving the euphoria of seeing them again and hating the pain of remembering that they're gone when he wakes. But he learns that he can do it on purpose. He can visit on purpose, and he chooses to see them night after night, becoming addicted to it, while his teammates see how much it's consuming him. And then one night, let's just say RWBY, one night RWBY asks, "Oscar? Yeah? Is this real? Are you really here?" And he doesn't know it yet, so he says what he himself has yet to internalize. "No, it's just a dream, but it feels more real to me than being awake these days." And that is a sentiment that potentially RWBY shares, given that she's in this magical wonderland of a place. And so this would be Oscar unlocking his semblance without realizing that it's his semblance. He would be able to, so his semblance would be being able to visit people in their dreams. And it could be like Raven, could be that you have to have a personal bond with that person in order to do so. Because, like, if Ruby or whoever he visits has been on his mind as he's grieving, it would make sense that would seep into his, if that's what takes up all of his waking hours, it makes sense that it would take up his sleeping hours as well. And that would be part of his dream, and that he might just think that he's visiting them, saying the things that he wished he had said, just spending more time with them. I do wonder if they would have to be asleep at the same time. They probably would, unless there's like a part of it where he can, like, in his dreams, like, leave messages, and so then the next time that the person dreams, they kind of like hear the echoes of that message without actually being able to converse. I don't know. That part's a little bit more iffy, but it's just a side thought. But if they have to be asleep at the same time, and one night they just end up staying up when Oscar is asleep at normal time, and he suddenly can't contact them anymore, imagine how worried he would be. Just thinking that, like, oh God, I can't reach them anymore. But then one night, the other person, I'm just going to keep saying Ruby. It's easier than saying the other person a million times. So then another night, Ruby mentions that this is recurring, saying something like, it's weird that I've never had these dreams before, but now I feel like I see you every night. And then, wait, this is your dream, not mine? What do you mean? You've been having these dreams too? And then they come to the realization that somehow they're both here. Wherever here is, they're both here. And he just gets elated. Just, you're alive for real? I'm alive for real, but how? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You're okay. The next morning, Oscar excitedly tells his teammates that the people who fell are alive, and he tells them about the mystical other world that they'd fallen into and the dreams that they share each night. Ren and Emerald try to tell him that loss can play tricks on you, and he gets upset that they don't believe him. He's like, no, they're alive. I'm telling you it was real. Like, he can tell. But Ren and Emerald and whoever else made it to Vacuo are just worried about him, like, in the way that he's taking this. But Oscar keeps going back. Maybe Ruby also tells her team about this, like saying that she's able to contact Oscar, or that Oscar's able to contact her. And because they're in, like, this Wonderland thing with all these things that they thought they could never experience, it's very possible that they might actually believe her. And so he might be, not to Zelda reference, he might be the link between worlds. He might be someone who can try to help guide them in any way that he can, or anything like that. But imagine he gets better and better at it, and he is able, when he realizes that he can do this on purpose, he can try to contact the others. Like, maybe Nora fell down, which we, go along with the whole Ren and Nora wanting to find herself away from him. So just, like, picture that one morning Oscar wakes up and walks over to Ren and says, Nora told me to give you this. Boop. How cute would that be? I don't know if Oscar even knows about the boop thing himself, so, like, I don't even think Oswin would have known, unless, well, I guess they had the recording thing, but then doesn't know that that's their way of saying I love you. So it's possible that Ren would, like, if he didn't believe him and he thinks that Nora's dead, it's possible that would just, like, overwhelm him and he would start crying again. Or it's possible that would be the thing that makes him believe him. That part's not an actual theory. This is just an imagine. Listen, I like coming up with ideas that are potential theories and then daydreaming about them with different ways that they could go. Given how Oscar's illusions have a lot to do with dreams and going into other worlds, like the little prince goes from planet to, like it's all about being trapped in another world. I mean, the little prince literally gets trapped in a desert, separated from his rose that he can't return to. Like, that's the little prince. Side note, but the little prince gets poisoned by a snake in the desert, and what poisonous desert creature is there in Vacuo right now? Tyrion, if you hurt Oscar, I swear to God. But there's an aspect to the grief, and this isn't meant to be like a Rose Garden-y thing. I personally love them as friends, but in The Little Prince it is like a love between the prince and the rose. But he's separated from her, and he looks up at the stars, and he thinks the stars are beautiful because he knows that somewhere among them, somewhere on his old planet, is the rose. The stars are beautiful because the rose is among them. And then he is told that the nature of flowers are ephemeral, meaning that they can be gone at any moment, and he freaks out. He has a breakdown, realizing that his rose could be dead at any moment, could already be dead. And so to him, the stars are now dead also. So just, they like pulling from that. And I know that Miles said that he's read The Little Prince now. So like, That could be an interesting way to tie that in, is like separated from the rose but still able to contact, like a nice little twist, just being able to visit through dreams. I think that would be really cool. Like maybe he visits Nora and that's how the boop thing would happen, or maybe Nora's like, hey, tell him this next time, and then like tell me how he reacts or something, and then like Oscar would tell how Ren reacted and Nora would be like, oh, that's real, kind of thing. Again, that's not a thing that I would actually expect, because how would that happen as specifically as I thought it to be, because there's really no basis for the boop thing. But listen, it's cute, all right? So that's it. I like that theory. Let me know if you have any other theories about Oscar's semblance. I'm starting to think that we're not going to get it this volume. It's either he gets his semblance or he fully merges in the finale is what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking it's more likely that they merge, but, you know, I just made another video about that. So I will go and edit both of these. I hope you all have a beautiful day full of magic and joy. Let me know what your thoughts are. Bye!